first of a new passenger train service connecting Auckland and Hamilton has just left the station in the last half hour. Te Huia will run return services twice a day in a bid to ease traffic between the two cities. Despite being dubbed the renaissance of rail, there's some hesitancy from the public around the travel time. A full journey from Hamilton into Auckland CBD takes about 2.5 hours with a transfer at Papakura.
Okay, mine Arnold. Well, Waikato residents who work or play in Auckland got to enjoy a new option this morning: ditch the car and take the train.
Te Huia's first service between Hamilton and Auckland had 90 commuters on board, plus our own Catherine Rutherford.
Welcome on board Te Huia. On time and on track, because let's be honest, first impressions count.
Absolutely amazing. Seeing the sunrise.
Auckland traffic is mad, so much rather sit in a train and do some work while on the train than sit in a car and do nothing.
So far so good, I must say. This flash, it's really lovely. But we have to get on the Auckland train after this, so I don't know.
There are luxuries.
The train's fantastic. Coffee needs a bit of work.
And lavatories, the kind of perks not available till now for Waikato locals making that daily car commute to Auckland.
So exceeding expectations, and I'll be able to reach work on time.
Around 90 people were on board this morning's first Te Huia service, which left Hamilton for the 98-minute journey to Papakura.
Having a day out in Auckland is quite nice.
It's got capacity for 150. There'll be 2 services up to Papakura each morning and 2 back at night. Return fare around $25. But there's a catch.
Got to get off and then transfer train, then go by Auckland Metro train to Britomart. And then you've got to have 2 payment cards.
Kiwi Rail predicts if enough people buy in, Te Huia will replace around 73,000 return car trips a year.
If you live in Waikato and work in South Auckland, Te Huia is a great option. You can work on the train, use the free Wi-Fi, the views are great. But who on earth would take on a 3-hour commute?
Samuel Dysart is. In fact, he'll spend up to 5 hours a day commuting. He moved to Huntly 2 years ago to buy a house, but works at the Devonport Naval Base.
It's a small sacrifice in the long run to have my own home.
He'll transfer at Papakura, wait around 10 minutes for a metro train before catching the ferry to Devonport, then do it all again to get home in the afternoon.
I was spending on average about $150 a week in petrol driving up to Auckland, and about $80 a week if I was driving to Papakura, so to me, in the long run, it works out about the same.
Waikato Regional Council says it's working through a consultation process on whether to extend Te Huia further into Auckland, but only if the business case stacks up. And if it does, Mulu country, look out. You may well find even more Jaffas rolling your way to live. Karen Rutherford, Newshub.
Sunny Witana, it's so nice to meet you. Congratulations on this big morning.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, it's a great occasion, actually. I'm looking forward to driving these.
Tell me about what this means for you as somebody who's been doing this for how many years?
Coming up 40 years now, John, yeah. It's a big occasion, actually. We've had a number of passenger trains in Hamilton before, old rail car and stuff, but having this thing running out, especially for Hamilton, is yeah, it's great, actually.
And stopping in Huntly on the way, which I suspect may be meaningful for that little town.
Yeah, Huntly and lots of Cody on the way up as well, and yeah, so it'd be really great, actually, for the wider community, really, yeah.
Do you sense there's a renaissance in rail? You are a man who stood at the front of trains for 40 years, driving them up and down the country. Do you sense that times are changing?
Yeah, I think they are. I think people are realising, especially with climate change, that rail is the way to go. And if you look at the rest of the world, they've all embraced it, so I guess it's up to us now.
Can you tell me about the engine, Sonny? What have you got? What have you got beneath your feet as you're driving this?
I've got a DFB there. It's an old school engine, but it's been redone and it's really awesome actually. Yeah, it's great.
Is it exciting? Is this an exciting day?
It's very exciting, yeah. I've been working on this project since about September last year, and then with COVID, we had a few setbacks with COVID, and so to have this final rollout date is awesome.
And so when you've been working on, what have you been doing?
Testing the train out and training the onboard staff, or not so much me training the onboard staff, but I've been training all the locomotive engineers to drive it and stuff, so it's something new for them. There's a few different things on it, door releases and all that sort of carry on, so yeah, but this day's finally here.
Do you remember the first train you drove as the man in charge? Do you remember what it was?
Oh, it was too many years ago, John, but yeah, it was a bit of a scary moment actually. Yeah, very scary.
So from scary to exciting and a sense of something good and meaningful and worthwhile beginning.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, I think it's certainly well overdue. The population around the Waikato is growing, and it's definitely time for a train.
Yeah. Well, I really wish you well today. I hope you have a fan. I'm looking forward to being on your trains, honey. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for that, John.
Kia ora, everyone. We're on Te Huia, the train between Kirikiriroa, Hamilton and Papakura. We are coming live to you on the train. We're about to pull into Huntly, which is exciting. Huntly has a population approaching 9,000. It's been growing in recent years because good, affordable housing there, not far from Auckland. But the drive to Auckland is a bit of a pain in the proverbial in traffic. So they are hoping people will get on in Huntly and catch the train to Papakura. Remember, the big Northern Expressway bypassed Huntly, removing thousands of cars a day from Huntly's economy. Waikato Mayor Alan Sanson is a passenger on the train sitting beside me. Is this good? Is this a good day?
This is a very good day, John. This has been a long time coming and a lot of hard work by a lot of people.
Why is it good? What difference will it make, do you think?
Oh, I think this will give people options around going in and out of Auckland on a daily basis, and also help people to get out of their cars. And it's a lot more pleasant to commute on a train than it is to sit in the frustrating traffic, especially when you get to Drury and you just hit gridlock. So yeah, far better option for people.
It's not the end of the it's not the solution full and final, but there's a sense on this train, and lots of people on this train love trains, there's a sense on this train that it is the beginning of a solution. Yeah. This is still diesel, it's still slow, but it's better than having no train service at all, right?
Yeah, look, I know there's some negatives you point out, but there's more positives than there are negatives. You know, this is a start, and we have to start somewhere. You know, this is about a modal change and actually getting people out of their cars and onto another form of transport. Just sitting here this morning at this lovely chair and desk here on the train, I could imagine just sitting here on your keyboard doing your work, which are billable hours, and that means that it's actually making you money and not costing you money to travel. So yeah, good options here.
Yes, we just did a wander, and we're going to meet some passengers later on the trip, but we just did a wander and people are working on their computers. So yeah, there's Wi-Fi on the train, so they are doing that work. What difference will it make to Huntly, do you think? Is this a good thing for Huntly?
Oh yeah, this will make it easier for Huntly. Huntly's already going through a large growth spurt, as is the whole Waikato, including Hamilton. And you know, we are the corridor that links Hamilton to Auckland. So consequently, you look at places like Pocono, Tuakau and that, this is where the growth is happening, down into the Waikato. So yeah, this will make a real difference for a lot of people. A lot of people are very, very excited about this.
You mentioned those communities. The train's not stopping there. It is stopping at Huntly, but it's not stopping at some of the other communities. So Tuakau, Pocono, Te Huia. At some stage, would you like train services to stop there and be very much part of the to and fro between Waikato and Auckland?
Yeah, look, very much so. We are working on them. We're working with Auckland Transport around getting the Auckland Metro service to come down as far as Pocono eventually, and that's our long-term game there. Te Huia will remain a service between Hamilton and Auckland, predominantly dealing with the linkages as far north here as Tikawara, including Huntly and Narawa here in the future as well. So, you know, this is two strings to a bow here. We've just got to make sure we get it all aligned and make sure that people use it and support it, because if you don't, we'll lose it again. So we don't want to do that.
What sort of patronage do you need? Have you done those numbers? I'm going to talk to Greg Miller, CEO of Kiwi Rail, is going to join us in less than an hour from now. We're going to have a big conversation with Greg about getting rail right in this country. But what sort of occupancy do you need for the train to work?
Oh, look, I would think for the regular occupancy for fare box recovery, you're probably looking at, would like to see consistently in the upper 80%. If you have that, that's good. It would be absolutely fantastic if the train was full in Hamilton and we got to Huntly and there was only standing room from there on. Wouldn't that be marvellous? But at the end of the day, I think if we could get around that between 80 to 90%, I'd be pretty happy at that.
We all know, I think everyone watching who, particularly North Islanders, knows the road trip between Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland and Huntly, although we're bypassing Huntly now and I want to talk to you about that. But Sam, our wonderful cameraman, so we're actually passing through really lovely Waikato rural countryside. So we're just going to go just past a lovely farmhouse here, rural roads. It's a really pretty train trip, isn't it?
Oh yeah, look, the other thing about travelling on a train, as you find, you actually see things that you don't normally see off the expressway. So currently the expressway, which is a beautiful piece of road that bypasses Huntly now, but at the end of the day, to sit in a train and look at the countryside as you go by is something quite special. You can relax and enjoy the vista for what it is.
Final question: how has the bypass affected Huntly businesses? Has it been tough in terms of the number of people who used to stop off for a pie or fish and chips or chicken or whatever, or gassing up as they went through town? Has it been tough in terms of the absence of those consumers?
Oh, I would imagine that probably the Shell service station and maybe McDonald's and KFC in Huntly, people that used to stop there regularly, are probably impacted by it. Speaking to the owner of the Firestone shop in Huntly the other day, and he says he saw a drop off, but he's seen an increase over and above what he had before. So, you know, there's swings and roundabouts. I haven't heard of anybody that's unvertently suffered from the loss of the traffic.
Next station is Huntly.
Next station is Huntly. That's us. That's you. You're getting off here, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got work at 9 o'clock this morning.
Yeah. Well, it's lovely to have you with us, Miss Henson. Thanks so much.
No, you're welcome.
You're at a flash new station in Huntly, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're bringing back the original station that's coming back on site in the next 2 to 3 months. So that's something quite special.
Well, we hope it works. And we hope people use it. And thank you for being with us this morning, Miss Henson. We really appreciate you being on the train.
Well, Papakura hasn't got there yet, I wouldn't have thought, but JC is back with us. We've sorted out our technical issues. Morena.
Yeah, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. I've got two passengers. I've got two fine young passengers who are wagging school. They're not. I just want to say that to get them into trouble.
It's a day off today.
It's a school day off. They're these beautiful young Hamiltonians, right? Abdullah and Alian. Alian, you are 7. Abdullah, how old are you?
10.
And Abdullah, how many trains have you been on before in your life?
None.
So this is your first ever train ride?
Yes.
How cool is that? And so you're with Mum and Dad?
Yes.
And what are you up to today?
Rainbow's End. We're going there for like 3 hours or something like that.
So what a great way to spend a holiday day. So you've caught the train, which is really exciting. You're going to Papakura and then you're going across to Rainbow's End.
Yeah. Yes.
And you eat some good food too, I suspect.
Yes.
Eliana, is this your first ever time on a train?
Yes.
And are you enjoying it?
It's weird.
It's different from other forms of transport, isn't it? I like it because you can see the world as it goes by. You're not stressed out because you're not sitting in traffic and you're not driving, although at 7 you probably haven't done much driving anyway. What is the best thing about being on the train? It's a big question, ladies and gentlemen.
You get a cafe.
Yeah, there is a cafe. I've got a coffee because you can take the boy out of Ponsonby, but you just can't take the Ponsonby out of the boy. It's so nice. What school do you go to? Let's do a shout out to your school, Abdullah.
Frankton.
Go Frankton School in Hamilton. So we are on the train to Huia. This is the first morning of this trip. It's very exciting.
Oh, no. Lost him.
Oh, we lost him. But how exciting is it? This is his first train ride. This is awesome.
He was very thoughtful, wasn't he, in his answers?
Yes.
I love it.
We're not on the midnight train to Georgia, we're on the morning train to Papakura. Te Huia is the name of the train. We left Kirikiriroa Hamilton at 6:28. We're due to arrive at Papakura just after 8. Sitting beside me is the CEO of Kiwi Rail, Greg Miller. Greg, it's nice to have you with us. Thank you, Wilson. We're on your train. Thanks for coming and sitting beside us and joining us this morning.
Good morning, John.
I'm a bit confused about this train. On the one hand, it seems exciting, and we need to invest in public transport, and we need to get it right. On the other hand, it's a diesel train, can only go as far as Papakura, and people who want to go into Britomart have to switch. So is this a win, or is it a step towards a win, or is it half a win? What is it?
No, it is a win. It's a big win, actually. It's 5 years worth of big work from a whole collaborative group involving the councils, the government and Kiwi Rail. So it's definitely a win, and it's a chance for us to bridge the commuter challenge, get 73,000 cars a year off the State Highway 1 to Auckland and convert those people to passenger rail. It's a big win.
I was just looking at Ludo Campbell-Reid on Twitter responding to the fact that we're doing the show this morning and saying, you know, this is step at a time stuff. So every win is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
But we still don't have this stretch of rail. We're just reaching Pukekohe, right? In fact, we're just there now. We still don't have the stretch of rail electrified. So the compelling argument around getting people off the roads is less compelling when the engine's diesel, right?
Well, that's one argument. The other side of it is it's the first step of many. And, you know, you may be aware that we're electrifying from Papakura to Pukekohe now. That work will be completed before the CRL opening. That's nearly a $400 million investment in rail just for that section. So electrification is big capital, and you've got to have the patronage to satisfy that. So movement of people between Hamilton and Auckland's the first step.
You used the phrase big capital, and I wonder if what we're experiencing today is catch up after decades, generations of not enough capital going into rail in New Zealand.
Yeah, we've got 4 to 5 generations of capital catch up, so nearly 50 years. And we're in the middle of a renaissance that's as big as when Julius Vogel first invested in rail.
You're joking. Is it that big, really?
It's that big. It's $4 billion already, on top of the CRL, which is $4.5 billion. So the government's invested significant capital in rail for the future.
Can we talk about trains that operate like this already? And I'm thinking about the Capital Connection, which is Palmerston North to Wellington.
Yep.
And so this is kind of comparable to that. How long has that service been going for?
Well, it's 30 years into it, and it's still well patronised. And I think all those that use it would never want it to lose. So we're part of that program. It's the first rail commuter service that Kiwi Rail started in 30 years in the region. So it's pretty special stuff.
I'm a bit confused about this train and what it's going to do on Saturday. So the train isn't running this Saturday, it's running the Saturday after after that, it's not running the Saturday after that. Why is there irregularity? There's no Sunday services and irregular Saturday services. Why, Greg?
There's a lot going on with Auckland passengers. So right across Easter, our infrastructure workforce had blocks of line right through the Auckland metro area. And when the patronage is down, that's when we do our work. We do it at night, we do it in public holidays and weekends, and it's the best way to do the work. We've got a huge upgrade in Auckland Metro. We've just replaced 134 kilometres of track in 7 months, and all of that stuff happened out of the daytime hours into the nighttime hours, and right across the Christmas holidays, Easter break, and so on. So that's when we do the hard mahi.
A couple of things I want to talk to you about before we go. One is the electrification. So you talked about, $370 million to electrify from Papakura to Pukekohe, which is very exciting. And it would be so great if you didn't have diesel engines, wouldn't it?
Well, ultimately, it's something that every government will look at, how far the electrification goes, but it's also based on the residential footprint, because it's got to be patrons that use that corridor to electrify that corridor. We're seeing growth in South Auckland and into the Waikato region. That's why this service has started with diesel pre-electric. But ultimately, you've got to look further afield and say what's going to happen, and that's something we're looking at.
The other thing is, of course, as trains come into Auckland, they bump into the Auckland commuter traffic, right?
They do.
And you don't have a line for an express train, do you? No. You could have a line. You could actually, scenario 4 in the business case, says you could do Hamilton to Auckland in 69 minutes if the train had its own line. Simple, low cost of $14 billion, I think, from memory. But are you investing in extra lines so you can get through trains bypassing the Auckland commuter traffic?
So we're putting in a third main from Pukekohe. And what that allows us to do is to run a service northbound, southbound, with 2 lanes heading north in the morning, 2 lanes heading south in the afternoon. So the third main gives us the ability to put freight trains to the side and allow passenger trains to go past them. And that increases capacity exponentially.
So is this the start of something meaningful, Greg Miller?
Oh, absolutely. The third main, the fourth main, electrification, the government's support for new rolling stock like this, great stuff for Te Huia.
Tell me about this engine we're in. It's older than this carriage we're in. It's older than you or I, isn't it?
It's a bit younger than us, John. It's 1970.
Oh, right, okay. Only slightly younger than us.
5 years younger than us. But this car came from the UK. It's on its fourth life. It's been refurbed in the hut workshops by us. Amazing Kiwi workshop craftsmanship. Like all of the suspensions changed. It's a better car than it was when it was brand new. And our team in New Zealand did this. Created 51 jobs. Fabulous.
Let's talk about other railway lines that you and I remember from our childhoods. I remember you could catch the rail car from Wellington to Hawke's Bay, right? Napier Hastings. There used to be a train line to Tauranga. There was Dunedin Christchurch. Are we going to see ever feasibly the return of more of these kinds of services, those kinds of services?
I think you've got to look at the transport systems to answer that, and that is that there were less buses and it was all trains. Cars were quite expensive and there weren't many of them. Our parents didn't own 3 cars, they had 1. All of those things have changed. Everybody's got 2 cars, there's a lot more bus services travelling, so for rail to compete it's quite a different landscape. Plus there's the independence that people want with their vehicles, and rail doesn't always have that. So trains connected to buses, connected to regional delivery and pick-up services. So that's changed a lot. So I think you've got to look at the system before we say rail cars will be back. Although the renaissance is happening right around the world for rail investment, and New Zealand's now really involved in that.
And this train, Te Huia, Hamilton to Papakura, is part of it. So who's going to use this train, and what sort of hopes do you have for patronage? Final question. So tell us about the service. Will it work, and if so, why?
Yeah, we're really excited that it will work. The businesses that have migrated into the Waikato, the residential spread, land cost changes, migration of workforces, many reasons, let alone safety and emissions and all the value of rail stuff. We're really excited about it, and I think we just got to watch and promote and see it grow over time.
Greg Miller, thanks for joining us this morning. Thanks for having us on your train. Thanks for getting up at 3:30 in the morning to be with us.
Thank you.
So this morning we shook hands with our competitors, Kirsty Lawrence and Tom Lee, at the pitch black 5:30 a.m. in Waikato, Hamilton. So the aim of the game is to beat them to central Auckland. We don't really know how that's going so far. We've heard from them a while ago and they were stuck in traffic.
Hey, what's up?
Just wondering where you guys are.
It's good fields outside. So...
we might have just hit a slight bit of traffic.
You've hit some traffic?
Yeah, we're 20 minutes delayed with apparently a bit of backlog of traffic.
Oh.
But you know, I'm still feeling pretty confident. Alright, well, we'll see you there. I'll be waiting with some food or something.
Okay.
Bye.
Hopefully not. Bye-bye.
I'll tell you who is going slow right now, and that's us.
Us.
For us, we're much less stressed. We're relaxed, we're enjoying the view, we're talking to commuters. But since we shook hands at 5:30 a.m, we're expected possibly to arrive in Britomart around 20 past 8, 25 past 8 maybe. That means that's almost a 3-hour commute for Hamilton travellers. So the question is, are the commuters really going to take the train every day, or are they just testing it out for novelty?
What's the time, Kirsty?
7:50.
7:50 at Britomart Station.
So that's 40 minutes later than us.
Getting work done. Relaxing.
That actually just okay.
Looking at the view.
Today we're going to drive to Britomart train station and see if we can beat the train. Had a little bit of traffic. Still feeling confident though.
Hey, what's up?
Just wondering where you guys are. we might have just hit a slight bit of traffic.
You've hit some traffic?
Yeah, we're 20 minutes delayed with apparently a bit of backlog of traffic. But you know, I'm still feeling pretty confident.
It's very nice.
Is it?
Yeah.
How far?
We can beat you.
How far away do you reckon you are?
We're at Mercer. We're at Mercer.
Oh yeah, oh, that's not too bad then actually.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you there. I'll be waiting with some food or something.
Okay.
Bye.
Hopefully not. Bye-bye.
That's not slow, eh? So then 40 minutes later than us.
Getting work done. Relaxing.
That actually just like us.
Looking at the view.
We're waiting here.
Good game.
Yeah, good job. We obviously won.